Right now, the deck size is this. In a month, it will become this. And within a year, it will become this. Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Hank from Wizard's Den, and today I will discuss the recent rules update that will be implemented on October 4th, which is the release date of Arthurian Legends. This episode will be divided into these sections, so let's just jump right in. Here's a summary of the rules update that will take effect on October 4th. If you want to read the exact details, I put a link in the description of this video, so please reference that. Most of these rules changes are related to the new mechanics that will be introduced in Arthurian Legends. They are more like rule addition. Multi-element spells, split power, stronger versus weaker, lance, and striking first are all new additions to the rules associated with the new set. However, the deck size change is a major change that is causing a huge controversy right now. The deck size will be increased to 50 spellbook and 30 atlas cards. Eric's Curiosa revealed that they want to eventually increase the deck size to 60 spells and 40 atlas cards. Apparently, the 40 spells and 20 atlas cards were just an initial deck size that had to be implemented as the set size was only 403 cards. It is impossible to support such a large deck size of 100 cards. But with the addition of Arthurian Legends set, they can increase the deck size, but not to the final size they actually want it to be, as it only has about 200 plus cards. So they decided to incrementally increase the deck size to 50 spells and 30 atlas cards for this set. This timeline visually explains what is going to happen. The 50-30 rule will be an intermediate step towards the final deck size of 60-40, which I think should take place somewhere next year if the set releases on schedule. What is the effect of this rules change? Well, what it does is that it will decrease the probability to draw certain unique cards and therefore maintains the splashy swingy game that Sorcery aims to have. In fact, this is the reason Eric's Curiosa implemented this rule. The bad is basically the other side of the coin. It deteriorates the consistency of the deck, as the probability of drawing certain cards degrades, especially the uniques. This downside is currently causing a huge controversy, as many people want their core mechanics of the deck to operate consistently, which is understandable, as I feel the same on the surface level. However, as a whole, for the health of the game, I believe this deck size increase benefits the game more so than damaging it. There are two reasons why I support this. The first reason is that as the game releases more cards, functionally and synergistically compatible cards will increase. As a result, the unique cards in a deck may not feel that unique due to other compatible replacements, and therefore makes the rarity constraints rule effectively weaker. The increase in deck size will mitigate this issue to some extent. The second reason is that I strongly believe that the swinginess of the game is important to keep the balance between skillful and non-skillful players. I think luck-based components that allows random wins against skillful players is important to keep the players keep playing the game. Let me elaborate more on each of these points. To explain the first one a little deeper, I'll explain about functionally and synergistically compatible cards for the ones who might haven't done much deck making in Sorcery. As you know, Sorcery restricts the number of same copies of each card you can have in your deck, depending on the rarity of the card. This makes it hard to pull off certain combos or mechanics all the time. One of the strategies to mitigate this is to use cards that are synergistically compatible. An example I'll present is for atlas cards you use in a deck type called Fortress. The goal of the Fortress is to prevent your opponent from entering your sights so they can't do damage, and you leech their life slowly while you watch them being frustrated not being able to deal damage. Bottomless Pit, Gnome Hollows, and the Great Wall are cards that prevent certain kinds of units entering the sites. They don't have the exact same function, but they all have strong synergies with the Fortress deck. Now there's more compatible cards you can work with. Edge of the World is a great card that can intentionally create void between you and your opponent's sites. And why not make a copy of any of these cards shown here to double down on your strategy using the Mirror Realm? Just in the first set alone, you have this much compatible cards you could use. They don't have the exact same function, but similar enough to make this strategy repeatable. This is one example of cards you can use as compatible cards, and there are many other examples that have varying degrees of compatibility. So what's going to happen when new cards are introduced to the card pool? Well, the number of those functionally and synergistically compatible cards will also increase. As more of those compatible cards increase, your deck starts to not rely on one of a certain unique card, but with numbers of different unique cards to achieve your goal for the game. Now, if you have multiple unique cards to achieve your final goal, is that card really unique? Well, I don't think so. Having multiple substitutes sort of breaks down the rarity constraint. This is an issue as in Sorcery, high rarity cards are really powerful compared to other card games, which you can include more of the same copy. The strength is tailored to the numbers you can include. I think as the card pool increases, there would likely be balance issues due to increasing number of synergistically compatible cards. So increasing the deck size can combat this issue. I especially feel this for the Atlas deck, as pulling a certain unique card in the Atlas is not that difficult even in the current 20 card rule. I once discussed this with someone in the past about how generous the Mulligan rules were, considering pulling a unique out of a 20 card deck was already easy. And this will become worse as the set progresses with more similar options available. Now, the obvious rebuttal for this is that, well, that means more consistency to the deck. What is the issue with that? My personal opinion is that Sorcery should be kept swingy and inconsistent to retain the player interest. It's my strong belief that grid-based games tend to become extremely skill-intensive, and you do need to manage many levels of game planning than traditional card games. Not having any skill required is bad for a game, but too much is also bad too. People will quit the game if they have no chance against a really good player, and the randomness helps to mitigate that. I have a strong opinion on this, as I know a TCG that failed due to this, which is Dimension Zero. It was a Japanese grid-based game, and it failed as it was too skill intensive and you would never be able to win by luck. The game will literally tell you, dude, you don't have it, you should play something else. I also know that Eric has the same idea of intentionally making it random and splashy. I think he does know that this is a really important essence to keep the players keep playing and not quitting, which can be seen here in his own words. Now, the increased Atlas cards made some folks ask, will this affect threshold issues with multi-element spells? I think this is a no, as there are more multi-element sites like Tentagel shown here. I think they have included enough cards to support that. Maybe not enough for 40 Atlas cards though, but for 30 cards, I guess. Anyways, I really think it's premature to evaluate this rule change as a game destroyer, as some speak out. It's not like Eric's Curiosa never tested it. It's more likely that it will still work out. In fact, what I rather think is that the feel of the game might not even change after all due to the increased card pool and other options you can choose from. Yes, the metagame will change as it would favor some archetypes, but that is with any rules change. And finally, Eric's Curiosa is not trying to kill the competitive scene. They just want to kill the consistency of the decks. You can still compete within the existing random swings. So let's not go all crazy as if the end is near. Let's postpone our answers until the release of Arthurian Legends. And also, you can always play your own format. What is your opinion? Make sure to leave a comment below. Well, that's it for today's episode. If you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for future episodes regarding sorcery. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a great game.